All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the Chronicles with Cameron Kirkconnell. As always, we'll see who jumps in first. It's a new week, and Paul is the first one on. Good to hear from you, Paul. Glad you're here, buddy. Thank you for coming. Lauren, Water Hunter, Billy, Adam, Peter, David, Matt. I hope you guys enjoyed last night talking with Kylie. I should have done this last night and had my big roller aim right out. I've got a couple of my other guns up here tonight. These two are kind of my go-to, and this one here is one that we've been designing. That's one for me for some of the different stuff that we do in traveling. I needed something that was pretty specific and pretty powerful. So this one has actually not even been in the water yet. I'll take this one in on on Friday and give you guys a report on it. But part of being friends with all these cool people around the world that are really into the diving and manufacturing and designing new stuff is we get to design some pretty cool stuff. So we're constantly trying to innovate, and every year, I'll have a different company make a gun that is specifically for what we like to do. And that focus might be for wahoo, or might be for tunas. It might be for reef fish. It might be a travel gun. And having the versatility of a bunch of different guns is great, but I've always wanted to have one gun that can kind of do everything. And I'm hoping this is going to be it right here. Tonight we've got a two-part, not 1 3/4. We have a two-part show. The first half is going to be Saskia Connery from the Bahamas. And then at 9:30 mark, Michael Takach from Australia is going to come on. Both of them phenomenal people that I've known for many years, and they've got some interesting stories and some cool stuff to talk about. So feel free to ask any questions while we're on with them. And as we've been going now 2 days in a row, and we're going to continue giving away something every night. So you guys stay tuned, and we're going to give some stuff away from neptonics.com. If you want to go on their website and kind of cruise through it, you can see some of the stuff that they have. And to be eligible for the prizes, you need to be following my YouTube, my Instagram, and Neptonics Instagram. All right, so this is Saskia. I'm going to let her come on here, and we're going to have a little chat. I imagine she's in Nassau right now.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? I don't have my wine, but I do have sparkling water in
It
the wine
looks like
glass
it.
right now.
I got my beer.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
all you need.
So where are you? Are you in Nassau still?
I'm in Nassau right now. I came down here to escape the craziness, which it's still a little crazy down here. We have some cases. Everything's a bit up in the air, but we have our ocean. I can still go spearfishing when it's not the weekend.
So
we have lockdown.
So just the weekends are locked down. During the week, you're allowed
Yes,
to go out, actually.
we are. We
That's
are.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd heard like mixed things back and forth. Obviously, as Americans, we can't come over there at all. It's like total stop. And then some of the Bahamian people were saying that they weren't allowed to go out unless it was commercial. But that's good to hear that you guys can go during the week.
Yeah. It's very nice. We're lucky. You can go out, I mean, as long as you're fishing for your own food, survival, which we've been doing for a very long time.
Yeah.
You're definitely allowed to do that. So
Good.
that's great.
So what's the last fish that you shot? What's the most recent fish that you shot?
The most recent fish that I shot was a Mexican blue runner.
What is a Mexican blue runner?
I have a photo of it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
It was big. And
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's a yellow jack. I actually think I have a picture of it.
okay. Because we didn't know
Is
what
it
fish
that?
it was. It is that one.
Yeah, that's a yellow jack. So that's a
Oh, wait. Actually, that's the wrong photo. I didn't put a photo of it on my Instagram, but the one I got was Mexican Blue Runner. You're right, that is that. But the one that I got was more blue. It looks like a massive blue runner, and we sent it to I don't know if you remember Andrew
Yeah.
from the Seraphims, and he was like, "That's a big Mexican blue runner, Mama." I was like, "Thanks."
I love I love the made up names in each locale. Like in
Yeah, I mean, it probably has a million names. Not sure. It was like a big blue jack. That was actually a little dramatic. What my uncle brought his GoPro for like the whole day, and he only got us catching like one fish because then the battery died, and then all the exciting stuff happened afterwards.
Of course.
That day was really frustrating because I got about three or four good sized fish, two of them decent sized mackerels, and I have to get on this pole spear trend because I'm still using my Hawaiian sling, which I find I'm more accurate with, and I find it easier, and I just like it, and I've been doing it since I was a kid, so I like it better. But we went to the berries and we got some pretty big fish, and I feel like I would have been able to bring that home to the dinner table if I hadn't been using my Hawaiian sling.
Yeah. No, one of my most memorable things with, I want to say we did 2 or 3 trips, and I hope I have the picture in here. But there's one picture of you and your dad both down at the same time. This isn't it, but of both of you down at the same time. And you were probably 16 or 17. And the two of you guys were so competitive. It was hilarious, because you're the oldest of the 3 girls. And then you and your dad are probably the closest in skill level. And there was a grouper in a hole. And the two of you were like down there, like shouldering each other, like pushing each other around. I was like, this is awesome. Like, if I ever have a girl, I want her to be this aggressive in the water. And I mean, I don't imagine you have changed very much, but you were stubborn and tough, but you did listen, and it made you even better during that time we were there, because you guys were just wild. Like all your group of divers, like everybody basically hit the ground running, scattered, and was so competitive. But I hope that you've come together to work together a little bit more since then.
Yeah, because of some of the stories you've told me about, free diving and the dangers, and my father's even more stubborn than I am. So, I like when we go out, just me and him, I'm stuck to him like glue, just because, you were saying if you have a girl, you want her to be good in the water. Like a lot of people, they go to the baseball games with their dad, or they do this with their dad. Like for me, my father, it's always been spearfishing. We always go out spearing together, and it's like a big bonding thing. We're always locked like this.
Yeah. You guys you swim like this. There's still elbows going.
Yeah, exactly. But now even when he goes out without me, I'm always like texting everyone on the boat. Aww. Like, is he diving with a buddy? Are you sure he's diving with a buddy? Are you sure he's okay? The one who isn't good at that is my uncle, who just like disappears into thin air and we never know where he goes. Oh, this one.
So that was on our trip, yeah?
Sorry?
That was on our trip, I think, wasn't it?
That was on our trip. I remember that very vividly. It started with excitement and ended in tears.
Well, was it just short of the world record or something?
It was. I remember we had been diving for a few days, and you were like, I think you can definitely get a world record. We just need to go out really early every day, and you'll get it. You'll get it. And we were in these islands south of the Bahamas, or in the very southern Bahamas. I forgot what. It starts with an X or a Z or something. The islands. I don't know if you remember the name of it.
I think I remember where we were. Shoot. Did we run from Nassau, or we were on the yacht?
No, we were on the boat. Yeah.
I think I know. I'm not going to say where it is, but yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Don't tell anyone where all the fish were, because it was great. And you were like, I think you can get a world record. I was like, oh my God, really? Do you think so? So we were every day, and I remember I got this fish. We were going in deep water every day, and we didn't find like a big fish. And then I think we were in between dive spots when I was just there, and I saw this massive guy come out of nowhere, and I just went down and I shot it. And back to my point of wanting to use a pole spear and not being good at using a Hawaiian sling. Although this record was for the Hawaiian sling, the fish went off with my spear, and I was like drowning to try and get it. Like, literally couldn't breathe, just chasing this thing around. and I came up for air, and I remember my father went down to try and shoot it, and I dived back down, like, with no air in me, and kicking him. And he comes back up, and he's like, what are you talking about? You're going to lose the fish. I was like, Dad, it doesn't count as a world record if I'm helped. Like, you can't help me at all. Give me your spear. So he gave me his spear, and I went back down, and I shot it, and that's when I killed it stone dead.
That's awesome.
That's this shot. The first shot was on the side. I think you can see it, the little bit of white.
Yeah.
And then we brought it back to the boat, and we were lucky enough to be with friends on 2 boats. I know you remember, with Courtney.
Yeah.
And we were late to dinner at the other boat. So my father, being who he is and rushing everything, is like, leave the fish. We can go. We'll measure it and weigh it when we get back. I think you had done like half the measurements or something. And you were like, yeah, this is a world record for sure. And I remember coming back onto the boat, being so excited to have you do the last measurement. I don't remember what it was. It was so long ago. And the crew all looked at each other like, excuse my language, but oh fuck, did we just eat the world record fish? And the crew of the boat had filleted and ate my fish. I was crying. I was so upset.
That's when I just walk away. I'm like, nope,
You're like, I can't deal with this drama. I can't deal with this girl drama. So I was so upset. It was such a, but you know, in my heart, I know it was a record. So that's what makes it all.
We'll get another chance. So one of the things, like, I love this picture because, like, if you look at your Instagram profile, and do you go by Saskia, or how do you?
Yeah.
Okay. So like you have beautiful photos, like, on all of your Instagram, and like you're taking the time to like put yourself together and everything. And I love this one right in the middle of all of it, in a rash guard, sitting crisscross applesauce with a big bloody jack in your hands. Like, for all the people that know you internationally, when you guys are in Europe and up in the Northeast, I mean, what do they think of you guys spearfishing? Do you think you're just like Cro-Magnon or what?
That's a pretty good question. I think people that know us well know that we like to, spear and all of this kind of thing. But from a wider angle, I do think that some people, at least for me, are like, wow, you spearfish? I know I posted a video on my story of me catching a grouper, and I didn't even want to post it because the grouper wasn't big enough. I was like, but it was the only footage I had of the trip. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to post it. And I had so many people being like, oh my God, I didn't know you did this. This is so cool. It's so unlike you. That's so this. And so to answer your question, yeah, I think people are like, whoa, especially, my father's in the art world. It's very, he's not known really for diving. And my father couldn't make it on the interview, but he's an incredible spearer and diver and everything. I mean, he taught me everything I know, and he's absolutely amazing underwater. He's like a fish.
He is.
And it's such accuracy. He's really good.
So in every one of these sessions, I ask, what is the best advice anyone has ever given you on spearfishing?
The best advice was given by you, actually. And it was like a 2-part. It was like a 2-part thing, which sounds so silly and stupid because first of all, the first part of the advice, you think I already do that, and the second part of the advice, you think I'd never think of doing that. Does it make a difference? It was, you told me that when I dive down, well, first of all, like, the best is, breathe deep before you go down, and kind of meditate on the fish before you go down. But diving properly was when you told me dive straight down like this, like a dead weight, like where you look down and you don't know where you are in the ocean because you're just literally, you're not going at a slant. You're just going straight down because you save so much time and so much energy. And you also told me to take the snorkel out of my mouth when I dive down because it helps you hold your breath longer. It gives you more oxygen. And I do those 2 things every time I dive, and I've noticed a huge difference. And you gave me that advice almost 10 years ago. Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's wild, isn't it?
But yeah, that's wild. Like, 8, 7 years ago, and I've kept it with me since, and it's so helpful.
You guys need to
Very
do another
helpful.
class for sure, especially now that your sisters are older. I don't know how much
Yeah,
they're into it, but you and I have missed each other, and your sisters and everybody. We missed each other by like hours, multiple times, like over at
I
Chester's,
know.
and like I everybody's names are all up, in flows over there, and you guys come over there quite a bit, and it's funny that our paths like just are so close to crossing so many times, or I'll be in Albany and you guys will be in Lyford, and we'll miss each other. It's funny, but so you still have any bucket list fish that you really want to get over there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Big ones.
Yeah.
Whatever we can eat. I mean, I love grouper. I love because it's my favorite fish to eat. So
Hmm.
every time I see one of those, big one, I get really excited. Um, but not really any bucket list fish. I had never gotten a mackerel before a few weeks ago,
Hmm.
and that was a fish I was really upset about getting because I know they're not the easiest fish to get, and I got it in a head shot, but it kind of went through here, so it
Hmm.
was like
Top shot 'em.
latched on but didn't kill it.
Hmm.
And it was with the Hawaiian sling, and we were in like 50 feet of water, 60 feet of water. I'm not a mermaid, so I couldn't kind of go down there and run after it, even though I tried. And I kept going up and down and up and down, and eventually it ripped itself off. There was also a massive barracuda that I literally thought was a reef shark
Right.
in the water as well, which I'm really surprised didn't take the opportunity for a free meal in front of it. Because normally, the barracuda, you're bringing your fish up and they'll come and take a chunk out of your fish.
Hmm.
I haven't experienced that with a shark. I'm sure you have, but
Yeah, one of the guys asked like, "What was your gnarliest like shark encounter?" What's yours?
my gnarliest shark, like spearing or just in
Just
general.
in general.
I think it was my first shark dive. I was really young. I don't know if I should say this on live. No, I'm just kidding. I think I was under 10 years old,
Hmm.
around 10 years old. And we were scuba diving and went out to do a shark dive. And it was right where the wall is.
Hmm.
So, and I don't think they marked the spot correctly, or the we latched onto the wrong buoy or something like that. And the regular shark dive is, I don't know how many feet, maybe like 50 feet, and you go down a rope, and there's all these sharks and everything, and it's fine, and it's reef sharks, and as we know, and when I was younger, I really wanted to be a marine biologist, so I had all over my walls like pictures and posters of all these fish and sharks and everything, and I memorized like all of them. So I knew what shark was what. And I remember my dad saying like, "Oh, go in now, and I'll join you in like a second." And
How old do you
I
think
was
you
like,
were?
"Okay, sorry."
How old do you think you were? Like 12, 10?
I was really young. I was like 10. I was really young, but I loved the ocean, and I mean, we'll talk about when I started spearing in a bit, but yeah, so I jumped in, and I think he was behind me, but this felt like a lifetime. I jumped in, I turned around, and there was a bull shark like 4 feet away from my face, like 3 feet away from my face, that was just staring at me. And I was so, I think in the moment I thought it was really cool, but then looking back on this moment throughout my life, like, was so terrified because I know that it's just not something that an encounter you really want to have. And then I remember it just blew up in bubbles because my dad jumped in and the shark got scared and it turned around, and the movement of its tail and the waters kind of pushed me into my father. I remember that moment pretty well. Um, I'm lucky that that's the worst thing
Yeah,
I've
that
ever
is
had.
very
I've
lucky.
It's
I'm.
really not bad at all. But I'm actually very like wary of that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Anytime there's a lot of blood in the water, or sharks around, I'm normally the first person to say, "Oh, we should go to a different place," because you never
Yeah.
know. But I say that, but the last fish I speared that you asked me earlier, I got out of the water and into the boat, and my dad told me, and when my father tells me this, I know it's stupid. He says that was the pretty stupid thing you just did. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen you do. Because I
You're like,
told you that
yes,
day.
best compliment
Yeah, I
ever.
was like, yes. I was like, that's great. Uh, I had gotten like 4 fish that day that all went off with my Hawaiian sling, and we were in shallower water, so it was easier to chase the fish down. And there was this big reef shark circling us, and had shot this fish, and it was going around, and I was like being wary, like I don't know if I should get it. And in my mind, I was kind of like, if the shark was interested in this fish, he would have already come to get it, and if it
Right.
already comes to get it, then I'll just give it out on my fishing rod.
Yeah.
Here's a free meal. So I went to go get the get the fish like right in front of the shark's mouth. My dad was like, "That was pretty stupid." I was like,
Risky. How funny. Well, so I think it was our first. It must have been our first or second trip we did. We came back to Albany, and all of us went and had dinner at Albany, and it was the first time I'd met your granddad, Sean Connery, and it was one of the most humbling experiences of my life to shake his hand. And he said, Cameron, I've heard so much about you. It's really amazing, to talk to you. And I was like, holy crap, Sean Connery knows who the heck I am. And through the course of that dinner, talking with him, you know, he was telling us about, Thunderball when they went to, that's because I think that was your guys' kind of family's first experience with the Bahamas when they went over to film the Bond movies, right? So if I remember correctly, he was not the biggest fan of the water, or at least the diving stuff and the stuff that they were doing in Thunderball Cave and with the planes and the sharks and stuff over there. Like he was like, that is not really my thing. But yet you and your dad and everybody is so oriented to the water. How did you guys kind of get into it? Like how did you guys get so involved in the water?
well, that's true. My grandfather is not a big fan of the water and or boats. He gets seasick, and so it's funny where we all came from. Well, my dad started spearfishing when he was growing up in Morocco. He grew up in
Oh,
Morocco,
okay.
and they had a house in Marbella in Spain, and he grew up spearfishing there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's this funny story about my grandmother, Musha, who I'm sure you remember
Mm-hmm.
very well, had this brand new boat that with an all leather white interior, and he speared a squid,
Yeah.
and
Oh gosh.
it came on board, and it black inked all over.
How funny.
um, and he just kind of stuck with it, and I think he got way more into it, especially as we spent more time down here and lived
Mm-hmm.
down here. And I got into it because, as soon as I was able to do anything, the first thing was teach me how to swim, get me on the reef. I think I was 2.5 the first time I ever was on the reef.
Wow.
Not with a snorkel, but with flippers and the whole ordeal. My dad taught me how to swim with flippers. It's actually the best way
Wow.
to teach someone how to swim.
That's interesting. That's funny. Hmm.
Yeah, and I speared my first lobster when I think I was 6 or 7 with
Mm-hmm.
my dad off of Nassau,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something that we always did together. It was always our little bonding
So,
activity.
so as a like I've got Isla is my 3-year-old. As
Hmm.
as a daughter, what would you suggest to me to keep her interested and engaged? As a father, trying to get her into diving. Like, what would be your advice to a father with a daughter?
I think it's you have to teach her why you love diving and
Mm-hmm.
make her love diving through you, and also through it being a bonding experience. I mean, comparing it very generically to like a little girl that loves to go to the baseball game with her dad, like she doesn't care about baseball. She cares about it because her hero is her dad, and her dad loves the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So making that diving, seeing how excited my dad was every time he came home with a big fish, I was like, I want that as well. And having him take me out and having him teach me, to breathe deep and meditate with it. And we would talk at the dinner table over our stories. And I even, like, I wrote my college essay on, I think the question was, where are you the happiest? And I did a creative piece about how my happy place was underwater, because I just it's my favorite place, and a big part of that is because it's something I always do with my father, and it's our thing. So I think it's based very much simply just to, you know, share your love for what you love with your daughter, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer, and that's, you know, that's kind of what I've tried to do with her and with Connor. You know, is let them have the chances to see the different things that we love, but also let them choose their own path. Like
Yeah.
Isla sees Connor, who's 6, just go full bore now, but she has been the first to try things more so than him. I think because
Hmm.
she sees the older kids and she's like, she's not old enough to even think about it being, you know, scary or anything like that. So the next question is this.
That's also the danger. I think
Yeah.
one of
Oh
those
yeah.
times when I was 2.5 on the reef, there was a shark in the water, and I lost a flipper because I chased after the shark, and my dad tried to pull me back, and he took my flipper off. So you also have to, they have to know the dangers, but also be interested.
Right. So, and you're a girl, obviously, you know, you know, you spend a lot of time in the water, you grew up around it or whatever. What has been your greatest challenge in spearfishing and, you know, spending time in the water? Like, what is like the one thing you've always tried to be better and better and better at?
Um, I think the one thing I've always tried to be better at, that's a tricky question. I think always holding my breath longer has always
Hmm.
been something that I've been interested in doing. And then there was this period where I was really comfortable in the water, and then there was this weird period where I just learned too much about the ocean and learned too much about everything and got kind of paranoid.
Hmm.
And I think
Interesting.
that's something that I really tried to overcome was, you know, seeing something incredible and not wanting to get out of the water because I can't see the bottom, which sounds like ridiculous, or just
Hmm.
weird things that would just kind of freak me out. And a big one of them was I was really afraid of sharks, which is just super strange because I grew up loving sharks, and I did like that massive paper on shark conservation, and I was just really afraid. And I think it was the second thing my dad told me on that boat when after I got that fish out of that uh, under that shark's nose. The first thing was that it was stupid and crazy, and the second was, I guess you've overcome your fear of sharks
Yep.
because otherwise you wouldn't have done that.
Trial by fire.
So yeah,
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for your time, Saskia, and we'll keep in
you
touch.
too.
Obviously, hopefully, you guys are still down there when the Bahamas opens up, because you know I'm
I'm
back in.
sure we'll be here for a while, so we should definitely reconnect.
Yeah, and if you guys, I don't know if you want anybody to follow you or not, but if you guys want to follow Saskia, you can find her on Instagram. She's got some unbelievable pictures, and again, as with everybody we ever talk to, you're very humble, and you know it's been awesome the time that we've been able to spend together, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.
All right,
All
you
right,
too, Cameron.
all right,
Bye.
bye. We'll
Have a
talk to
good
you in a bit.
evening.
Yep.
Enjoy the rest of the live,
All right, see ya.
guys.
So that was Saskia Connery. And now we're going to move into the second portion of tonight. And we're going to move down to Australia with another good buddy of ours and his phenomenal other half, who is probably more interesting, a better diver, and more hands-on than most girlfriends slash wives. And that's Michael Takach. He should be coming on here for a second, or in a second. And Taka and I met years ago I think we originally met in Australia, and he was looking at traveling and doing a around the world trip. And he contacted to me to talk to them about traveling to a bunch of different places, and we helped get them set up with Rife. So, Michael, there he is. Wake him up. Somebody wake him up. Hey guys.
Yeah. G'day, mate. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? Good to see you, Jess.
Good, yourself?
Good, man. Good. So where are you guys currently?
Currently on the Gold Coast, so Queensland, the East Coast. Just hanging out with the restrictions at the moment, just waiting for the go-ahead so we can head to the reef.
Yeah. So you're not even allowed to leave shore to go out to the reef.
Well, we're not supposed to be doing any non-essential travel, so technically we shouldn't be moving the big boat around too far. I think now this weekend's coming in like 50 kilometers, but we've still been spearfishing. You're allowed to go fishing and all that stuff, which is good. Exercise.
We've been every week or whenever the weather permits, but it's pretty restricted here. It's a pretty big city, so every dive spot's got like 5 boats on it. So
really, wow.
Waiting in line and getting a bit of stick from the local fishermen. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys have to figure out how you're gonna sit because it's driving me nuts. You keep moving around. Like you only have so much space. So what you really need to do is pick the phone up and do a kind of a panorama where you guys are. So you guys have been living on the sailboat now for how many years?
Just coming up to a year now.
Wow. How many divorceable offenses has he committed there, Jess?
Daily.
Oh yeah, per day or per the whole year?
It's like quarantine 24/7.
And it's been interesting watching your guys kind of journey with that because I think, didn't you have another small one, or is that Simon I'm thinking of that had the little one that he just went like all over the place and had like all kinds of crazy mishaps?
Oh, that was definitely Simon.
Yeah, good Lord, he's a piece of work.
We've taken a lot of his advice and done the opposite.
Love Simon, but oh my gosh, that man just catastrophe awaits.
I think you guys call it a yard sale. No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So
he's got really good guy. The most adventurous spirit that we've ever met. That's for sure.
He is. He's a great dude. So when we first met, Michael, you were doing commercial diving. Are you still doing that?
I haven't for the last year or so, but yeah, that's basically what my profession is still. Yeah. So
explain commercial diving, because over here there's a couple different ways you can do it. And commercial spearfishing, working underwater on the ships. What were you doing? Were you doing like the welding and inspections and stuff like that?
Mainly inspections, not much welding. I've done a little bit of underwater welding, but I'm glad it's underwater and not many people can see it. But construction, inspections, we did a lot of work for the Navy, like dry docking ships and replacing equipment underwater and props and things like that.
So in doing that, like there's a lot of people that have done the commercial diving that are also hardcore spearos that I've met from all around the world. But there's some guys that after they're done with work, they're like, nope, I don't want anything to do with the water. Like, how did you make the kind of connection to start spearfishing? Like, how did you get started spearfishing?
Well, I started spearfishing through line fishing. I love the ocean. I love catching fish on line. And then I tried spearfishing once, and then it was a no-brainer. I never really went back to line fishing. And it was actually through spearfishing that I wanted to do something in the water for a living, which led me to commercial diving, basically.
That's great. And I want to say that when we first met, you contacted Rife or me or something about getting some gear, and we put you on the Rife team, both of you guys, mostly because of Jess. I mean, you were like, maybe like a 3 out of 10, and she was like a 9. So we're like, all right, it kind of evens out there, and she'll carry the weight. And
yeah.
And you guys, of course, killed it. Like, you got gear and you had some crazy stories in traveling. And like, I remember when I think the first time we met you guys in California or something, I was like, there is no way this amazing woman is going to stay with this guy through all these crazy places that they're going to go. But having been through so much in traveling, it's bonded you guys together. And there's quite a few couples that have spearfished together, and usually the wife will kind of go off and end up doing something else, or the husband will end up going to do something else. But you guys seem to still both just froth to spearfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we basically spend our life savings on the boat and just going around, just trying to go spearing as much as possible now, really.
Mm-hmm. So, Jess, what is your favorite fish, and where did you get it in the world?
Oh, definitely a dogtooth tuna, because we spent years chasing those.
we lived in Tonga and Samoa for a year, and that was like our target species the whole time that we were living there. We were super keen to get one, and we just spent like so much time in the water chasing those fish, and heaps of heartbreak stories, losing them to sharks, and all that
Typical dogtooth stories.
Typical dogtooth tuna stories, gear breaking, losing gear and stuff like that, getting wrapped up on the reef in heaps of current, or mainly sharks is a big one. That was where I lost my biggest doggy to. Was a pack of sharks just vaporized before I even got to the surface. So it was good to finally land that, even though it was a pup in terms of dogtooth tuna, especially talking to you about dogtooth tuna. But I think when we're hanging a big doggy off the back of this boat, that will be when we know
all debts are paid.
Yeah, all debts are paid, exactly. So,
there you go. So you guys have plans to leave here and go east, like to go get big doggies?
North, so up the east coast, and just get to the reef. We did intend on getting to Indonesia this year, but with the restrictions and the corona and stuff, we don't know exactly if that's going to happen. But we'll make the most out of it, get to the reef, and still be able to chase doggies. There's a lot of Peter Sayer. He wrote a really good book about the offshore reefs, like the coral sea reefs, the outer reefs. So we plans to try and get out to some of them, and that's where you do all your long range liverboard spearfishing trips for doggies. Anyway, I did one with Brad when I first met Brad many years ago, and it'd be great to go back there in your own house.
Yeah, for sure. And your kind of your own agenda as well. Like it's one of the challenges for us that now that we guide full time is when you have these big group trips, even if it's a couple of guys that kind of know each other once or see each other once or twice a year, you've got multiple different personalities and everybody's got a different agenda. When you're on your own boat and you have your own setup, you guys can just set out with a plan. And the two of you guys have been phenomenal since the beginning of filming everything. So you guys will take turns filming, and I don't know how the heck you determine that, but it pays off in the end because it gives the other person time and patience to not be rushed and to get the good shot. And too often people are on trips together and they're just super competitive, and it's very counterproductive. I know that she wants to get a bigger fish than you, but she's patient enough to give you the chance to blow it and knows that she's going to be able to get it later because you're just going to miss it anyways. But gosh, you guys have so many phenomenal pictures here. Thank you for sending me all these. So who is the better photographer, videographer?
Jess for sure.
I'll take that because he's definitely got speaking covered over me.
Yeah. And what are you guys using as a setup right now?
We've got a huge Canon 5D Mark III in a Nauticam housing. So still, it's pretty big these days compared to all the mirrorless, but it takes an amazing photo. Just like the caves in Tonga and stuff like that where it's low light, it's hard to beat. And I'd love to get a smaller setup, especially now that we're diving out of the tender because it takes up half the floor space.
I bet. I don't know if I have a picture of your tender in here. I don't think I do. It's a bummer. Yeah, I don't. So how big is your tender? Isn't it like 3 meters or 4 meters?
The high field 3.4 meter plastic, they call it.
So it's like 11 feet long, like 10 and a half feet long. And
everyone's like, that tender is huge. Like, no, it's this big. So, yeah.
So what's the biggest fish you've put into the tender?
What was it?
Cobia.
Cobia, yeah. I just went back to Sydney for a week.
You got the best weather.
And we just had absolutely epic weather, and Tim gave me a few spots to check out, and I shot a 27 kilo cobia. It was the first fish actually.
Yeah.
I think we're just about to release that episode.
That episode's coming out on Friday, so we're a little bit behind on our YouTube videos.
Only
but
about 6 months.
Yeah, he's which is good because we're in lockdown at the moment. So he shoots a huge cobia by himself, gets chased out of the water by a bull shark, and Nelly gets dragged off in the current.
Wow.
It was brand new, it was literally brand new, and I had the cobia, and they've got those dorsal spines on the back of their head there, and they roll around like a shark, and had a brand new tri-cut spear as
Oh
well. And
gosh, too
was
many
actually-
sharp things.
chased out of the water by the shark, and the current was pumping, so I climbed in the boat, and then I had this cobia to contend with, and I was thinking, oh, if I pop this before Jess gets back, she's going to kill me. But
So that's obviously one of the greatest challenges with any of those ribs is popping the thing, and that was going to be my question. Like I always preach, get a hold of your fish, get them under control, kill them, gut them, gill them before you get out. But in a situation like that, you need to get the heck out of the water, and then you've got those spines sticking up out of their back and that spear. Like that would have been a show in itself, just seeing you monkeying around with that thing.
Yeah.
And like they'll do their run, and then they just come up to the boat fine, and as soon as
Play
you pull them
possum.
in, they just start crazy.
Jeez. So what is the worst conditions you guys have been in the sailboat so far?
So it'll be our first passage ever, I think.
Always. Always is.
We left where we are now, actually, the Gold Coast, and we went down to Yamba and Aluka, which is about 100 mile sail.
It's the only one you can't do in Australia or on the East Coast as a day trip, and we chose it as our first trip because it was the only place we could
really go.
And
so it was. We did our first bar crossing in the big boat at night at 10 p.m.
On the bar, you crossed the bar at night?
Well, that was the only way to get the bar during the day when we wanted in Yamba with our arrival time. You got to obviously time the incoming tide, because it's not like a small boat where you can outrun the waves. You're at the mercy of it, and you just got to keep going and hope for the best. So you want to time it with that incoming tide and small swell. So
and that bar's worse than the one that we were leaving from, so we timed it with that one.
Yeah, so we left it.
Take that one in the teeth.
And it was a great sail. We were doing probably 8-9 knots. Jess got up to like 13 knots under motor at night. Yeah. And then we were just crossing Byron Bay, and the wind just dropped out completely, which was not predicted. And we were like, oh, okay, well, we're going to motor. We might as well motor to the fads. So we did this huge detour, and we start going around all the fads. And then all of a sudden, like a 25-knot headwind, the southerly hit us, and it was just chaos, because we had that East Australian current pumping down about 3 knots, and then we had 20
against it.
Going against it. So it was just standing the waves up. One engine broke down. So we were doing 3 knots like this for another 8 hours or something. And, this was our first passage, and we didn't know if we should turn around or we were going to make the bar on time. And it was pretty stressful.
And we were worried about the bar being rough too, because the weather had changed.
And we were making that tide now because we were so far behind. I think it took us like 18 hours total to get down, and it was the last 8 was gut-wrenching.
It was pretty stressful because we were originally, and then we got there right on the tide, and the bar was no issues. But it was pretty scary. But just because we're so inexperienced, but definitely not bad on like a sailboat. A lot of people go through a lot worse. So
everybody has these fantastic dreams of getting a sailboat and sailing off into the sunset, but it is a full-time job. Like there is never not something to fix on there. And how big is yours?
It's a 37-foot easy. It's a home-built cat. It's the second one this particular builder had built. Did a really good job. It's glass over ply construction, so that comes with its own challenges, but it's easy to fix. And we've been super happy with it. Sails really well. It's only about 4 tons, so it's super light and pretty quick little cat. Plenty of space, and it just worked with our budget. So we're really happy with it.
So what is your suggestion to people that want to go and do a sailboat trip and buy a sailboat and shack up on it?
I think you're better off.
Jess is getting ready to say, "Don't do it."
No, definitely do it.
Definitely do it.
If you don't have money, go on someone else's, because it is expensive.
Super expensive, and stuff just breaks non-stop. So I would say make sure you have enough money planned for the repairs, and I think you're better off working and saving up first before just buying a cheap boat and then just thinking, I'll just fix it up as I go, because yeah, even a brand new one, you're going to be fixing it nonstop, and you want to just start out
Yeah.
being able to.
Yeah, a lot of people just buy a boat and it's a side project, and they'll get to it, and obviously you people want to work and live on the boat, but it like you said, it's a full-time job. We see so many people here just stuck on their boat working full-time, and then on the weekends working on the boat, and then they just never get to leave and enjoy it. So
Jeez,
I think
I believe it.
yeah, like there's a whole bay of them just there, literally. It's crazy. But
Take us
I think,
outside. Let's see. Let's walk around a little bit.
yeah, cool.
What do I do? Do I flip this camera around? I think that's.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a great view right there. It's that table,
Is that what,
the cup. Yeah, it's actually pretty clean in there. Yeah, you guys did a good job.
yeah, no, we've done a lot of work and pretty proud of her.
Yeah. Let's see what's outside. I love the doggy print. It's pretty cool.
This is outside, so there's our tender there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a pretty decent sized tender. I'm sure it's a challenge to get that thing up. Just do a kind of pano. Where you got? Are you guys? You said you're on the Goldie, yeah?
Yeah, yep. So that's SeaWorld just there, actually. Where
Oh,
we
okay.
Are.
I know exactly where you are. So you're just inside of Stratty, yeah? Of South Stratty?
Yeah, South Stratty.
Mhm.
That's right.
There's a.
You can actually hear the sea lions barking at night there.
Yep. So one of my sketchiest surf was swimming across there from the south to go surf South Stratty, and as I was climbing over the jetty, I slipped and cut my foot, and it was a gusher, man. And I ended up surfing for a couple hours, came back and swam back across, and everyone's like, "Dude, there's so many freaking sharks in there. So lucky you didn't get chomped."
Yeah. No, we see the surfers paddling across every morning, every time we go spearfishing, and there's they're running the gauntlet there for sure with all the boat traffic. It's like a circus out there.
It's crazy. I would never do that again, but it is what it is, man. So I ask everybody, what's the best advice you can give someone for spearfishing? And for you guys, you guys have been around the world. So, for pelagic spearfishing, for people getting started out spearing pelagics, what would you suggest?
For pelagic spearfishing, I don't know.
Somewhere different.
Be patient and get closer. Definitely get closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest challenge I found. I mean, once you find the fish, anyway, the biggest challenge is actually getting the shot close enough to actually land them. So we always, you hear it everywhere: get closer, and when you're close enough, get even closer. So we wait until you can start seeing all the small details on the fish.
That's a very good point.
The scars, like the eye, details around the eye. You normally notice when the fish starts to look real gnarly and scarred up. That's when you know you're pretty close, I think. That's how I go by anyway.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So have you guys had a couple world records now, I think?
Not officially.
Not officially.
We've eaten a lot.
Had an Australian striped marlin for a short while, a couple of years.
Nice.
That was 103 kilos. That was actually just after we got back from Central America, chasing giant fish, and then to actually land the biggest one, a couple of hours from our house was pretty cool.
So tell me a little bit about that. I know that we talked a couple times before you went out and did it, and you actually, if I remember correctly, you kind of did it old school. Like you weren't jumping in on the lures, like you were jumping in on the bait balls, right?
Yeah. So I actually went out with a mate of ours, Jack Howard, and we got invited by some game fishermen to go. They were using us like a bit of a circus show. They wanted to see us jump in and shoot a fish, And we went out there with these guys, and it was totally different to a spearfishing trip. They were drinking beers and playing loud music, and they had a couple of bras flying off the out. Absolute chaos, and they said, we'll chuck you guys in after so and so. It's his birthday. We'll get him a fish first, and he's never caught one. We'll get him a fish. And the day just went on, and it got to like the late afternoon, and Jack and I were sitting there thinking, are we going to even, get in there? So I thought, I'll unzip the cannon, my big Blue Water Elite. That'll turn some heads and maybe get them excited. So I unzipped the cannon, and they were actually fighting a fish. They were catching live bait, and they actually caught a marlin on the little bait jig, and they were all giving the guy crap, like, oh, you're wasting time, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, well, why are you fighting that? Can we just jump in? And we put a
Something's
slimy
thumping. There's
Oh,
something
that's
thumping.
the water tank, sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, so we jumped in with a slimy mackerel each just in our weight belts. And we were just sitting there in the middle of the blue, probably about 50 Ks offshore, and we just started throwing them just blindly because it was a real hot weekend. There was about 200 fish landed just by the boats around. And we were just watching these things, just one single dead bait sink down to like 20 meters, and we dive down, pick it up. I think that afternoon we saw probably 4 or 5 marlin already. We couldn't close the gap on any of them. We saw a stripe, a few blacks, a big wahoo, and then that just gave us the idea, like, oh, maybe we don't have to go trawling for them. We could just go out there and just do your traditional flashes and burley or chum.
Mm-hmm.
So we went ends in a row, and we landed 3 marlin. I landed the first fish on the first weekend was a 71 kilo black marlin.
Wow.
And,
on the last drift,
and
we
then,
didn't see anything that whole weekend. We nearly went home and never came back.
And then once confidence, like, this is actually working, and then Jack got a 74 kilo striped marlin, and then I followed it up with a 103 Australian record striped marlin.
Wow, that is a monster stripey. That's a real big one.
So I think the record, it's up 120 or something. I'm not sure Luke Pat or something got it, but
that's crazy because our stripies in Central America are pretty small. Like, you guys have the biggest ones, and you have some of the best numbers of them as well. Like, we've looked with some of our clients at coming down there to do, marlin when the bite's really hot. And, there's a big debate over why to shoot marlin and is it okay to shoot marlin. Stripies are actually very good to eat. And so are whites, and most of the marlin are, it's just become so taboo. So in Australia, it's one of the few places that you're allowed to shoot them, and how is everybody just like, yeah, hey, thumbs up, well done. Or do you guys catch a lot of flack for it?
No, we got minimal flack, I think. I know that
was before Instagram though.
No,
so definitely, I know Nikki got a lot of criticism for shooting. Nikki Watt shot a big, I don't know how big it was, big marlin, and she copped a lot of people hating on it. But I mean, they're very fast-growing fish. There's plenty of them here. Probably a little bit harder to target here than they are in Central America. We didn't get them on the bait bowls that you guys sort of get. I think down in Cabo they get those big runs of all the billfish working the bait bowls, but down there they're worth a lot more money too for tourism alive. Australia, I don't think we really have that charter fishing industry that they have over there in Cabo, where like Panama too, you can't shoot billfish. So I think for them it's also not only that, they're a pretty looking fish, they're also worth more to the local economy to keep them alive and to fish them continuously over and over again. So, I mean, that's just how I see it. I mean, sustainably, I don't think there's an issue with shooting marlin.
Not at all. Fast growing. That people say, oh, why would you kill them? They're terrible eating. Yeah. They obviously haven't eaten one, because I would every especially the sub 50 kilo fish, the meat is, if you take care of it, like any
really
fish,
good.
Is absolutely amazing. Like sashimi, seared, pokey. It just, I'd eat that any day.
Yeah, Kimmy, you guys might have been down there as well. One of the times we were in Mexico, I shot a big sailfish and took good care of it and everything. And Kimmy prepared it sashimi that night, and I swear you could not tell the difference between that and the yellowfin. Like, if it's done right, like it's phenomenal, and it's a true testament to like taking care of fish.
100%.
So every night we've been giving something away. This week, Neptonics is sponsoring basically the whole week. So they've donated an item every night. Last night they gave away a slip tip. Tonight the person has a choice between like they have these band tying kits that you guys probably have your own similar setup where you've got like your extra band tying material, the stuff to tie it with, and then they've got like a crimping set, and we've got a gun to give away on Friday. But trying to think of like a cool contest to do, I thought this picture for the first person that can guess where this picture is from. Can you guys see it that I've got up?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, so the first person to guess where this is, we'll give away the they'll have the choice of those items. But without telling me where you are, tell me a little bit about this cave. Did you guys find it on your own, or did somebody tell you?
That's a girls' trip, so I'll pass you on to Jess on that one.
That's actually a freshwater cave.
Is it in Tonga?
No, it isn't.
Bahamas, Dean's Blue Hole, Iceland, Great Barrier Reef.
No. It's in Australia.
Okay.
And it's really cold. Like that. I had a 5 mil on, and I was shivering. I also had a flu. I was shivering violently, and it was freezing. We actually had Nicole Burko and Nikki Watt, and we went down. And
is it in Tassie?
There you go. Someone just.
There you go. Yeah, somebody just said it. That's what I figured too. Oliver Millar. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, we went there in the middle of winter. I don't know why, but yeah.
So tell me about this cave here. This thing is crazy looking.
Yeah, that whole area in South Australia, I believe, is like a limestone rock, and then they've just got sinkholes in parts of it. So there's about 3 tourist attractions which you can go to, but that's the only like proper sinkhole that is comparable to like a cenote in Mexico. It was wicked, and that's just on a private property. So to get to that sinkhole, you actually drive through like a field of sheep and cows, and it's really weird.
It's a Kiwi's, dream spot with all those sheep on the way to a watering hole.
Basically like a Australian cenote.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the name of it? Is it Kilsby Sinkhole?
That's it. Yeah, that.
Gotcha. Did you say that, or did this person just guess this? Did somebody just guess it, or did you just say it? Kilsby?
No, someone Southern Spearfishing, I think, was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
All right. So where's your guys' next big adventure, and like what's your target? I've seen you've been getting some jewies, huh?
Yeah. That's our go-to. We've been sticking our head in those caves.
God, they're good eating, aren't they?
They are good eating, and they're one of my favorite fish to hunt on the East Coast for sure. By far.
So how
otoliths as well, which really.
Do you have your whole thing of otoliths? I knew you had a whole ton of them.
I do. I don't have the
He's got a collection. He's just got his boat stash.
I've only got my boat stash.
So tell us really quickly about the otoliths. We've got about 2 minutes before it's going to cut us off.
So
the otoliths are these ear bones of the jewfish, which are a giant croaker.
So they're just the ear bones. Every fish has them, but the croaker species have the biggest. And so you get 2 in each fish. It's kind of like in their throat. There's a big jewel box that we like to call, and you can you split that open and you get 2 of these out of there, and it's like a little bit of, I don't know what it's made of, like a hard calcium or something like that.
Yeah, they're so cool. I think I still have a handful of them somewhere too. But well, good guys. Well, we've got a minute and 25 left here. What is the name of your guys' YouTube channel that we can follow all your videos and adventures on the boat?
So we kind of just rebranded it, Sailing Papao. It's the name of the boat, P-O-A-O. And we do like fortnightly videos. We've finally finished.
What the heck is a fortnight for us savages?
Every 2 weeks.
All right, good. And how often do you guys put out your videos?
Yeah, every 2 weeks or fortnight.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, man. It's great to see you guys. I miss y'all. We'll keep in touch. And is there ever going to be a time where you guys are going to do charters on your boat?
I don't think we'll do charters, but we'll definitely have a lot of friends on board. So, that's one way you're going to get on.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, man. I look forward to seeing some of the videos, and we'll talk soon.
Too easy. Thanks, mate.
All right, guys. See y'all.
See ya.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This is the Chronicles with Cam Kirkconnell. And this week, a big thanks to Neptonics.com. They've been doing the giveaways each night for free gear. You guys stay tuned for tomorrow night.